All right, Talk Takers listeners, ready for another deep dive. Today, it's all about music and money with Warner Music Group's Q4 2024 earnings call.
Yeah, and this one's interesting. It really shows how WMG is, not just riding that streaming wave, but actively shaping the future of music.
Okay, you got me hooked. Let's unpack it. So, what are we seeing? How did they actually perform?
Massive growth in subscription streaming revenue, for one. It's their fourth quarter in a row with double-digit growth, up 11% this quarter alone.
11%. Whoa, that's huge. What about the whole year?
Same story, basically. 7% revenue growth overall and 11% adjusted OIBDA, which, to put it simply, means their operating profit is growing too.
Smart decisions. Good news for investors, but also for artists who, want a label that's actually thriving. What's their secret?
Well, their strategy is multifaceted, attracting artists at all stages, from newcomers to big names, and helping them build fan bases, maximize earning potential, the whole nine yards.
So it's more than just signing big names, it's nurturing talent. Any specific examples from the call?
Absolutely. In the U.S., their flagship labels, Atlantic Records and Warner Records, are really demonstrating this.
Let's break it down. Atlantic first, what makes them stand out?
They're what we call digital native. They've mastered TikTok, Spotify, all that, making artists blow up, like Rose, the K-pop star they signed. Her collab with Bruno Mars, APT, went straight to the top of the charts, Spotify and Billboard.
Wow, Bruno Mars is huge globally. That's got to put Rose on the map big time. Sounds like Atlantic's all about finding those rising stars. What about Warner Records then?
Warner's more focused on artist development, taking artists with potential and turning them into global stars. Teddy Swims, Benson Boone, Annalise Chapa, all Warner artists who've blown up worldwide.
That's just a few, right? They're developing tons of talent across genres. But they're not just focused on the new stuff, are they? I read about them revitalizing some older acts.
Spot on. They've brought iconic bands like Green Day and Linkin Park back into the spotlight. Linkin Park, for example, just dropped their first album in 7 years, From Zero.
Hybrid Theory. That album was everywhere. I bet fans were pretty hyped for this new one.
You bet. It was the most pre-phased album in WMG's history, meaning pre-orders were through the roof, more than they've ever seen. And to go with it, a massive global tour.
New albums making noise, tours selling out. That's got to mean series streaming numbers, right?
You're getting it. New releases have this ripple effect. They renew interest in the whole catalog. When Linkin Park's new single dropped, their streams jumped by 500 million compared to last year.
The power of new music to reignite a fan base. So U.S. labels are strong, but what about global reach? Expanding internationally.
Big time. WMG's going global, playing the long game, becoming a real powerhouse on the world stage.
Now this is getting interesting. Give me the details. Where are they focusing?
Power moves in key markets. Japan, world's second largest music market. They appointed new leadership there. Takeshi Okada as CEO and Kenji Kitatani as chairman.
Serious about Japan then? What about other regions?
They launched MPLIFY in Korea, a new label focused on English language music, and they've been busy acquiring Cloud9 Recordings, a leading indie label in Benelux, and Africori in Africa, which is like the region's main distribution company.
Building a global music empire. Is it working, though? Blending local talent with their global superstars, I mean.
It's exactly what they're doing, and it's working. They've got #1 hits with artists like Soprano in France, Speed in Australia, and Ailiva in Germany, all while pushing global stars like Dua Lipa even further.
Dua Lipa, first female artist with 2 albums each, over 13 billion streams on Spotify. That's impressive. Now, they mentioned India as having huge potential. Elaborate on that. What's the plan?
India's fascinating. 1.4 billion people, 5th largest GDP, but only the 14th largest music market. Huge room for growth.
So they're getting in early before it blows up.
Precisely. Strategic partnerships and acquisitions are key. They've been acquiring stakes in local companies like ePositive, Devo, Global Music Junction. Not just taking over, they're collaborating, integrating into the scene.
Smart. Learning the market from within. They even invested in Skillbox, a ticketing and live events platform over there.
Makes me wonder, what if they took this superfan idea further? Like, imagine a premium Spotify tier, WMG Ultimate Access.
Hold on, getting ahead of ourselves. Before hypothetical trades, how's this India strategy performing? Seeing results?
Oh, absolutely. Their revenue in India grew over 100% in fiscal 2024. Remember those acquisitions we talked about? They're paying off big time.
100% growth, that's insane. Makes you wonder what's next there. But before we get too speculative, let's talk about their other big business, music publishing.
Yeah, while recorded music's making waves, publishing is quietly crushing it. consistent double-digit revenue growth.
Okay, let's dive into that a bit. What's driving their success in publishing?
New partnerships expanding their reach. They've teamed up with companies like Analog Metaverse and launched a venture with Defected Records, a well-respected British label.
Diversifying, tapping into new markets and technologies. Clearly, WMG's making some seriously smart moves, not just reacting, but shaping the industry.
And that proactive approach is reflected in their latest move. The board authorized a $100 million share repurchase program.
That's got to be a big vote of confidence in their future.
Exactly. They believe in their growth potential and are backing it up with action.
This all paints a very optimistic picture for WMG, wouldn't you say? And they've got an exciting lineup coming up. Rose, Dua Lipa, Teddy Swims, Jack Harlow, and more. Not resting on their laurels, constantly pushing forward.
They are. WMG is definitely a company to watch for music lovers and investors alike. Now, about that WMG Ultimate Access idea, since this IS talk tickers, and we love a good trade idea.
Okay, let's have some fun. Remember, folks, this is not financial advice segment, so take it with a grain of salt, purely hypothetical.
Right, purely speculative, just brainstorming. So imagine this premium tier on Spotify, WMG Ultimate Access, gives superfans exclusive content, early access to tickets, limited merch, maybe even meet and greets.
Hitting all the right notes for superfans. Imagine unreleased tracks, behind-the-scenes stuff, even personalized messages from artists, like a VIP pass to their world.
And that tier could mean serious revenue for both WMG and Spotify, really solidifying their connection with those dedicated fans.
Okay, here's the trade. You buy call options on both WMG and Spotify, betting that announcing and rolling out this WMG Ultimate Access sends their stock prices skyrocketing.
Bold move, but with massive potential payoff, the exclusivity, the added value, it could drive serious subscriber growth, boosting their financial performance.
Exactly. And again, everyone, just a hypothetical for our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Yeah.
Don't go rushing to your broker just yet.
Just some food for thought inspired by the awesome stuff happening at Warner Music Group.
All right, that wraps up our This Is Not Financial Advice for part 1 of our WMG Q4 2024 earnings call deep dive. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the broader music industry outlook and those underlying trends shaping its future.
It's going to be fascinating. See you in part 2.
Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into Warner Music Group's Q4 2024 earnings call. We just scratched the surface of WMG's performance, but now I want to zoom out, look at the bigger picture. What's the outlook for the music industry overall? Is all sunshine and roses?
The outlook's pretty bright, actually. Subscriber growth for streaming services is still strong, and there's a good chance of wholesale price increases coming soon.
Break that down for me. What does that mean for streaming revenue in general?
Well, those two things together mean streaming revenue should grow a lot in the next few years. Suggests a healthy, expanding market.
So WMG's in a prime position to ride that wave, it seems.
They are, but they're not just passively riding it. They're actively, paddling hard, focusing on efficiency, upping their investment in A&R, that's artist and repertoire, the talent scouts, the folks who find the next big stars. And they're open to acquisitions if the right opportunity pops up.
Like they're building their own surfboard, not just hoping to catch a ride on someone else's.
Smart. Let's talk about the trends shaping the music industry as a whole. What forces are at play here? One of the biggest is the shift from owning physical music to streaming. Remember CDs? Those days are fading fast. More and more people are on Spotify, Apple Music, those platforms.
Right, everyone's on Spotify these days.
Exactly. And while this shift has created amazing opportunities for music companies and artists, opening up those new revenue streams, it's not without its challenges.
Like what? I've heard concerns that artists aren't paid fairly by streaming services.
That's a valid concern, a hot topic in the industry for sure. There's a lot of discussion around artist compensation, making it fairer. The industry's trying to figure out how to make streaming work for everyone.
So, not perfect yet. Any positive developments, signs of progress?
Oh, there are. One promising thing is the rise of artist-centric royalty models.
Okay, how do those work? I'm intrigued.
So traditional models, royalties are based on the streaming service's overall market share. But in artist-centric models, they're based on what each user listens to. If you only listen to, say, Taylor Swift, more of your money goes directly to her.
That rewards artists with dedicated fan bases, even if they're not topping the global charts. Sounds like a step in the right direction.
It is. Could make things fairer, especially for niche artists, or those just starting out.
What other trends are shaping things? What should our listeners know about?
Another big one is the rise of short-form video platforms like TikTok.
TikTok's everywhere. It feels like every song I hear is trending there.
It's become huge for music discovery. Songs go viral overnight, artists blow up instantly, a powerful marketing tool for the industry.
Like the new MTV, but bigger and more immediate. So the industry's evolving fast. That brings us back to WMG. They seem to be adapting well. But what if they took it even further?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Time for another round of this is not financial advice, right?
You know it. Remember, everyone, this is just us having fun exploring ideas. So pretend for a second. WMG, seeing how powerful short-form video is, decides to make their own TikTok-like platform.
Okay, I'm listening. What would that look like?
They could call it WMG Beats, a platform for music-related content, but using their massive catalog. Users create short videos, dancing, singing, lip-syncing, skits, all set to WMG artists.
A music-focused social media powered by their catalog and artists. I like it.
And to make it even better, they integrate a royalty-sharing model. Creators earn a cut of the revenue from their videos. Incentivizes them to use WMG music, attracts talent to the platform.
Smart. A win-win for WMG, the creators and the fans. Everyone benefit.
Exactly. So here's the trade. Outrageous, but plausible. You buy WMG stock and short a traditional social media company, betting WMG Beats disrupts things, captures users, and engagement.
Wow, that's a bold call, but not entirely implausible. If WMG does it right, taps into that massive audience of music lovers and creators, they could become a big player.
It's all about seeing the trends and capitalizing on them. This is all hypothetical, of course. Everyone, this is not financial advice.
Just some fun speculation inspired by what we're seeing.
Right, but it's fun to think about the possibilities, right?
Absolutely. The music industry never ceases to amaze me. It's constantly evolving, full of surprises.
Now, before we jump back into WMG's financials, any other big trends we haven't touched on? Anything listeners should keep in mind?
One more worth mentioning is the growing importance of live events.
Concerts are back in a big way, that's for sure.
They are. After the pandemic put things on hold, there's this renewed appreciation for live music. Fans want to see their favorites in person. That energy and connection you don't get from a recording.
Nothing quite like being in a crowd, singing along with thousands of other fans. It's electric.
And this resurgence creates new revenue for the industry. Tickets, merch, sponsorships, it all adds up.
So not just streaming and downloads anymore. Live events are a big deal again.
A vital part of the ecosystem. And WMG recognizes that. Remember their investment in Skillbox, that ticketing platform in India?
Right. Strategic move.
It was. They see the potential of live events and are making moves. Another example of their proactive approach.
Makes their future look even brighter.
It does. They're well positioned for growth in multiple areas. They've got their fingers on the pulse of the industry.
Can't resist one final, this is not financial advice scenario before we wrap up part 2.
Let's hear it. What wild idea have you got now?
Okay, picture this. WMG, seeing the demand for live music and the rise of the metaverse, creates their own virtual concert venue in the metaverse.
Ooh, I like where this is going. A dedicated space for virtual concerts. Fans all over the world can experience it in a whole new way.
Exactly. Partner with a platform like Roblox or Sandbox, build this amazing concert hall, incredible visuals and sound. Fans attend from anywhere. WMG makes money through tickets, virtual merch, even sponsorships within the metaverse.
A whole new frontier for live music, blending the physical and digital worlds.
And the trade. You buy WMG stock and short a traditional concert promoter, betting virtual concerts disrupt the industry, change how we experience live music.
Another bold bet, but again, not crazy. Virtual concerts are convenient, accessible, potentially cheaper for fans. And for artists, it's a global audience without the hassle of touring.
It's a trend to watch, for sure. But folks, purely hypothetical, remember.
Yeah.
This is not financial advice.
Just exploring the possibilities.
Some fun thought experiments those were.
They were. It's good to think outside the box. Imagine what the future holds.
Now, back down to earth, let's recap WMG's earnings call. We've covered a lot, so good to revisit the highlights.
Agreed. Let's distill the essentials.
First, their financial performance is great. Impressive growth in subscription streaming, both this quarter and the whole year.
Yeah, Q4 was notable, that 11% jump in recorded music streaming revenue. And 7% revenue growth overall, 11% adjusted OIBDA for the year.
Executing their strategy well. Attracting and developing artists, their digital focus, global expansion, It's paying off.
They're not just reacting, they're shaping the industry. That willingness to adapt and innovate is key to their success.
And their publishing division is consistently strong too. Double-digit growth there, showing stability.
They're firing on all cylinders, creatively and financially. Bright future ahead.
That wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into Warner Music Group's Q4 2024 earnings call. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll share our final thoughts and leave you with something to think about.
Looking forward to it. See you in part 3.
Back again, Talk Tickers listeners, for the final part of our deep dive into Warner Music Group's Q4 2024 earnings call.
We've covered a lot, their financials, industry trends, even threw in some fun what-if scenarios.
Yeah, well, a whirlwind tour of music and money for sure. Now, I'm curious, from your perspective, what stood out the most? Anything surprising or particularly interesting in this earnings call?
You know, I was really struck by how they're blending the old and the new, their legacy business, with some really forward-thinking strategies. They're not abandoning their roots in recorded music and publishing, but they're also embracing digital, exploring new stuff, like those metaverse partnerships.
Like they're honoring the past, but stepping into the future, not getting stuck in nostalgia. They get that the music industry is always changing and they're adapting with it.
Exactly. That's crucial for any business, right? Can't rest on your laurels. Gotta stay agile, embrace change to thrive in this kind of world.
And WMG is a perfect example of doing that well, not just reacting, but shaping the industry. Okay, before we wrap up, gotta squeeze in one last, this is not financial advice segment.
All right, hit me with it. What's the final outrageous but plausible trade idea?
Okay, so picture this. WMG, riding the nostalgia wave and that love for vinyl records, decides to launch a line of interactive vinyl record players.
Interactive vinyl, that's a new one. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
These record players would have like advanced tech built in. So you're listening to your vinyl, but you can also access bonus content, liner notes, behind the scenes stuff, all through the player.
Bringing vinyl into the digital age, combining that warmth, the nostalgia, with modern tech. Clever.
So the trade. You buy WMG stock and short it a digital music streaming company. Betting this interactive vinyl thing reignites interest in physical music and disrupts the dominance of streaming.
Bold prediction, but again, not totally crazy. People love vinyl, the sound, the experience. Adding those interactive elements could be huge, especially for younger folks who didn't grow up with it.
Bridging the gap between old and new. And again, everyone, purely hypothetical. This is not financial advice.
Just playing with possibilities.
Okay, to wrap things up for good, let's leave our Talk Tickers listeners with something to think about.
I like it. Go ahead.
As WMG keeps expanding globally, investing in new tech, how will they balance staying true to artists, to making great music, with the demands of this rapidly changing industry?
Excellent question. It's a tough balancing act. They'll need to navigate this changing landscape while staying true to their core values.
It's a challenge, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle it in the years to come.
Definitely. We'll be keeping an eye on it here at Talk Tickers.
And that concludes our deep dive into Warner Music Group's Q4 2024 earnings call. Thanks for joining us on Talk Tickers, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep those trade ideas coming and stay curious.